let's go ahead and do the meeting beginning ritual. 起立，面向佛堂，参加三鞠躬、一鞠躬、再鞠躬、三鞠躬，参加各位点传世一鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。Please be seated.
There is a Zen story floating around out there that I encountered the first time, actually on the TrueTao.org website. It has since, I think, come down off that site for some reason, but anyway, it's a story about two tigers. And as I was considering what I was going to talk about this week, especially in juxtaposition to last week's talk regarding meddling and what have you, this struck me as being a remarkably relevant topic. And actually the story is a wonderful little story that's easy to remember and easy to use. The story goes like this. There was a man walking across an open field when suddenly a tiger appeared and began to give chase. The man began to run, but the tiger was closing in. As he approached the edge of a cliff at the edge of the field, the man grabbed a vine and jumped off the cliff. Holding on as tight as he could, he looked up and saw the angry tiger prowling out of range about 10 feet above him. And he looked down in the gully below, and there were two tigers also angry and prowling, so he had to wait it out. He looked up again and saw that two mice, one white, the other black, had come out of the bushes and begun gnawing on the vine, his lifeline. As they chewed the vine thinner and thinner, he knew that it could break at any time. Then he saw a single strawberry growing just an arm's length away. Holding the vine with one hand, he reached out, picked the strawberry, and put it in his mouth. It was delicious. Some of you may have encountered this story before, perhaps not. But I find this to be just a wonderful little tale on living life. And as is usually the case, there's some symbolism that goes along with this story, an interpretation from a Tao perspective that adds some clarity and some worthwhile description to why this story is so good. The symbolism in this story involves the man, the tigers, the cliff, and the vine he's hanging on to, the mice, and his strawberry. And the way that I've heard this interpreted, and the way that I choose to look at it, is as follows. The man in the story is each one of us. We all start our lives walking along, enjoying our lives, oblivious, as it were, to the approaching tiger. The tigers, of course, represent death, the ultimate finality. If you know anything about tigers, tigers are absolutely fearless hunters and extremely efficient hunters. And if a person's attacked by a tiger, if they're unfortunate enough to wind up in that situation, the outcome is nearly 100% assured. There is virtually no surviving an attack by a large hungry tiger. And the tigers represent death, which can sneak up on us at any time. They wait for us at the bottom of the cliff. They prowl around at the top of the cliff. And they're always there. We may not see them hidden in the bushes and the weeds, but they're there. The vine represents our hold on life, our desires not to face the tigers. And we all know what that feels like. The mice, of course, one black and one white, are day and night. They're the passage of time, gnawing away at our little vine that holds us suspended on the cliff. The strawberry represents the wonderful gifts of life that we have in the present moment in which we exist. So, in this story, what do we have? We have all of us, as we start out, ignorant of what's ultimately going to become of us, not necessarily caring about what the the ultimate finality is. You know, I'm in my middle or late 50s now, and I'm rather keenly aware of the fact that I have much fewer days in front of me than I have behind me. My children, however, have no clue. They're all still invincible. That's where we all start. And that's not so bad, I suppose. I wouldn't wish a pressing preoccupation with dying on any of my children. It's not appropriate. And believe it or not, it's not really appropriate for us either. But it's something we all have to walk through. And so, in the story, amidst his fears and anxiety and angst over knowing that he was going to fall off the edge of his cliff pretty soon, you know, the man reaches out for this strawberry, that wonderful, wonderful moment in his existence, if you will. He gains a brief respite from the worries and anxieties that are present in his life at the moment, and enjoys the strawberry, the gift of the present moment. Now, of course, the top of the cliff can be said to represent the past, and the bottom of the cliff, the future. The man can't climb back up the vine to the top of the cliff because there's a tiger up there that's going to eat him. And in point of fact, none of us can climb back up to the top of that cliff either. The past, as far as we're concerned, is gone. It represents only memories. The bottom, of course, is the future, and we don't always want to go there either. We don't know what necessarily awaits us at the bottom of that cliff in the future, but we're afraid to go because we don't know what's down there, and we absolutely know there's a tiger down there too. And so, suspended in midair, with death at the top and the bottom, the only thing the man can discover is the only time he really has, the present moment, right now. And he grasps the present moment, and it's delicious. We have those choices in our own lives as well. We can all choose to be bound up and anxiety-ridden over the future and the past, regretting what we'd done previously, lamenting the consequences of our poor choices and our decisions in the future, worrying about what the future is going to bring us. And to a certain extent, a proper bit of planning and understanding the future is not an unhealthy thing. The unhealthy part comes when we continually live either in the future or in the past, essentially to the exclusion of the present moment. The time that we spend agonizing over the future and past rob us of all of those strawberries we could be picking while we're dangling off that vine. It's important to know that the mice are chewing on the vine, that the passage of day and night in our lives is inexorable. It's not going to stop, no matter how much we would like for it to, no matter how much effort we put into forestalling it. Sooner or later, the vine's going to break. Sooner or later, we're going to face the tiger. But between now and the time we drop off the edge of the cliff, hopefully are a lot of present moments where the joy of living can be experienced fully. Even if the present moment's somewhat inauspicious, even if we fail, even if we fall down, even if we do something really stupid, and those things happen to all of us, the present moment still is the only time we have. It's the only time there is to make the future different. It's the only time we have, if necessary, to make amends for the past. It's only in the present moment where we can experience forgiveness and joy and love, spiritual growth and refinement, all of the things that we talk about here. We don't have the ability to go backwards or forwards yet, not in a time-traveling sort of way. The only thing that we can do is walk into the future one day at a time. We need to remember that. It's important. So we're each suspended in midair, hanging between heaven and hell, between the future and past, with death waiting above and below. We're each clinging to our vine. We're hoping it won't break, that we won't lose our grip. And we see the mice gnawing away at our vine. The thing to take away from this is what happens next is up to each of us. We're not the victims of cruel fate or preordination. In my opinion only, perhaps, but I don't believe that we're predestined to a specific path. I think our karma puts certain choices and decisions in front of us based on what we need to learn, based on the karmic debt we have to settle, the things that we have in our lifetimes that we have to confront. But I'm not sure that any of us is preordained in a particular way. I believe at each point where we have to make a decision, that path is subject to change, and those changes don't occur in the past or in the future. They occur in the present. So we truly do get to decide, as we're dangling there on our cliff, what's going to happen next. It's really easy to look at a story like this and think that the man being suspended there between the tigers really doesn't have a lot of choice left. He can't go up. He has to go down eventually. What other choice is there? Well, okay, ultimately we all wind up in that predicament. Sooner or later, we're all going to have to face the tiger. That's just part of it. It is one of the absolutes of being born, is that one day we're going to die. But while we're hanging there between the top and the bottom, we actually have a lot of choice about what we do and how we perceive it. The most important thing to remember out of this story is that worrying about the future and the past don't change the future and the past. The past is gone. The future isn't a promise, it's only a hope. In the second that I'm not talking to you yet I could have a massive heart attack and drop dead right here on the spot. And that'd kind of make this talk a little bit shorter. Almost catastrophically so. Am I going to worry my entire life that one of these days I'll be giving a talk and drop dead in the middle of it? No. I'm not going to agonize over the possibility that I may walk out of my front door and be hit by a bus. That's extremely unlikely. I'm not going to worry about whether I'm going to be hit by lightning, bitten by a shark, find a poisonous spider, eat something I shouldn't, things like that. There are 1,000 ways to lead this life. And when my day comes, it'll be okay. Until then, I'm not going to agonize over it. I'm not going to worry about it. Because worrying about it robs me of the ability to remain in this moment that I have right now. It takes away my ability to consider things like what I'm telling you now. It completely and utterly destroys my ability to enjoy the now. Every present moment isn't necessarily a fun one. I've had a lot of present moments that have been full of a lot of tears, some of them that have been full of a lot of pain. Some of them I wished I hadn't gone through. Some of them I'd like to not go through again. But by and large, when I stack up all those little present moments, I've had a really wonderful and very blessed life. And if I hadn't been there for those present moments, then my future would be my past would be a bunch of empty memories. And my future might look a lot different than it does right now. We build a future out of those present moments. To the degree that we're fully present, fully engaged in, fully utilizing our resources in that present moment, we construct the future as we desire it to be, as opposed to how it's dealt to us. The better able we are to follow the teachings, to understand the teachings, to adhere to the teachings, to stay on that center path, the more auspicious that future is that we construct. But make no mistake, we absolutely construct it. To those who say that they're the victims of cruel fate, I say you're right. Because when we fail to remain in that current present moment, when we fail to engage fully, we allow ourselves to be buffeted around by whatever comes next. That is cruel fate. This is one of the few traditions available where I tell people that the results that can be achieved by the application of the Tao teachings are 100% scientifically reproducible. I've been saying it for years, and I don't say it because I don't understand what's going on, or because I'm trying to blue sky those who don't understand the teachings. I say it because I've watched it happen over and over and over and over again, not only in my life, but in the lives of others. But part of making that happen is understanding our right and appropriate place. There's a reason we only get 24 hours in a day. It's because that's about all we can handle at a time. And we handle those 24 hours one wonderful, blessed, present moment at a time. One event at a time. One situation at a time. The universe is too big for us to comprehend all at once. Sometimes my 24-hour day is too big for me to comprehend all at once. But anytime I step back and allow myself to free my mind from the anxieties of what I don't know and the things that I don't see and the things that I don't understand yet, I'm liberated to be able to stay in a moment that I do understand and make choices that perhaps are better than the ones I might make if I did nothing. It isn't until we realize this simple truth that we deal with that truth. It isn't just enough to know it's the truth. We have to accept it. We have to integrate that truth into our lives. We have to understand it, not at an intellectual level, but at a deep internal spiritual level. That then we can dismiss the anxiety and the worry and let go of the future and the past. I have found, in particular, that the teachings regarding the absence of a literal heaven and hell as taught by a lot of Western traditions to be extremely liberating. Because one of the things that people agonize about the most in the future is what happens to them after they die. I don't know enough to tell you what happens to you after you die. I can only tell you what I believe. But I don't believe there's somebody waiting for me after I die with a pitchfork or a shepherd's crook, waiting to send me either to eternal torment or eternal glorification. I don't know what's there, but I'm pretty sure it isn't that. Knowing that allows me to detach my mind from those after-death anxieties. I can admit that I don't know. That's the truth. And in fact, by and large, anybody who's living doesn't know either. So when somebody tells you they absolutely, positively, 100% know what happens to you after you die, you can be pretty sure that they're not fully honest, even though they're doing the best they can. Nobody knows. But that's okay. It's part of the mystery of living. The past and the future are illusions, like so many other things in life. The past it's a ghost. It's only a memory. It's not changeable. It isn't alterable. We can learn from it. We can derive knowledge from it. We gain wisdom from it. But it's still only a memory, and the future is only a hope. We deal with our lives so often like the future's cast in cement, like we're going to be around essentially forever to take care of the things we ought to take care of and do the things we ought to do. But that isn't the truth either. We have the moment we're in right now. and that's all we have. And so it behooves us to make the most out of that moment that we have right now, because the present moment is all the time we have. The future is never a promise. And if it's not a promise, why are we worrying about it? So anyway, kind of wrap up for you. We each start life oblivious to those tigers. We stay in that wonderful oblivious state until at some point in time we're either forced to confront death, or we begin to understand that dying is a part of living. One way or the other, eventually we see the tiger and the tiger sees us. We become aware of the presence of that tiger, and he's closing in on us. And from that point forward, typically the race is on. We each feel trapped between the future and the past from time to time. You know, with a somewhat less than positive attitude, I could have some real bummer days worrying about the past and the future and the tiger at both sides. There's no way anyone gets out of this one alive. But we don't have to see it that way. We can see death as the natural conclusion to a life well lived, and see death kind of as an old friend, somebody we've known before, rather than an enemy to be hidden from and fought with. We can choose to go either way, but ultimately death is going to win. Pardon me while I readjust this. But once we accept the truth of our lives, once we understand the nature of the future and the past, and the nature of dying, then we free our minds and our spirits to fully enjoy what we do have, the present. And it's a wonderful thing to have. It's a blessed thing to have. I don't regret any moment I've ever had in my life so far, because by and large it has been a wonderful, wonderful gift. Hopefully, this will be a bit helpful for some of you, and maybe you can begin to look at your life in kind of the same light. Thank you all very much. Derek, I'll hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. I want to mention that the story that Bill told this morning is in the book, The Tao of Daily Life. So if anyone is interested in finding out more, there's a lot more stories similar to that in the book.